Our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. Technology can shape growth. Help us be more agile. We can use technology to change, disrupt the landscape of the industries that we participate in. Building technology so that others can build technology and make things happen. Our success is not dependent on our products. It's dependent on the success that our customers, our partners have with our products. It's really not about our ambitions, but it's the application of our ambitions so that we can deliver digital transformation. I want you to envision what difference can you make to shape the world.
Good morning and good afternoon, partners. This is Sherman Crancer, Senior Partner Development Manager for Microsoft, and welcome to the first show that we're putting on this year for Microsoft Play in the Box, powered by the MHL. You're probably wondering what the MHL stands for, the Managed Hero League. We are so excited. We've come together and really put a lot of effort into creating a different type of call. Last year we did the panel strategies from the titans of sales and industry. And this year we're not going to go there, but we're going to still have kind of the same format. So we put a lot of effort into it. And today, we're going to be covering the Partner Investment Engine. We're going to talk about the Managed Hero League and some other things, and have some videos and whatnot. A couple things to think about. We have the Q&A function open right now. We want you to utilize this monthly call as a way to collaborate, to ask questions to us. Jason Hinton is in studio today, and he's going to be monitoring the Q&A. So if you have questions for any one of the panelists that are on, please let us know. We're happy to put in the chat box, but also collaborate with the other people that are on the call today. So once again, thank you so much for joining. Moving forward, it's going to be the every third Friday of every single month. We're not doing it every week. That we were really tired at the end of last week or last year, right? We were really tired, but now we can put a lot of effort into making sure that this is impactful. This is something that you want to wait for and you want to learn, you want to come to. And it's just, I think, in reality, it's going to be fantastic, and you're going to really love it. We're going to be posting directly after the show. It will be in the Teams environment, which you've been either added to because you've accepted the invitation, or you're coming to this call and you will be added to it. And that team site is really awesome because it's not only be a place that you can come to this call for the very first time, right, or find the call every month, but it's also going to be a national collaboration, kind of like a national Yammer site, but this is only and it's exclusive to managed partners across the United States. So with that being said, let's go ahead and just check on the agenda here real quick. We have the introduction, kind of talking about this. We've got the great Beth Kavanaugh in studio today. She's going to give us a little bit of a leadership message. We can talk about Microsoft incentives. Okay, the PI program in general. We're going to get into Azure incentives. Then we're going to talk about the Managed Hero League. And what, I'm not going to steal thunder, but this is awesome. And I tell you, I think you're going to be so happy to check this out. And then lastly, we're going to have a little bit of time, hopefully, for the Q&A. So with that being said, let me just go ahead and introduce some of the folks that are in here today. If you don't mind, I'm just going to say you're Beth. And Beth, could you say who you are and what you do?
Sure thing.
All right, so this is Beth Kavanaugh. Beth?
Hi there, Beth Kavanaugh. I'm coming to you from sunny California. I actually reside here with Sherman, and just want to thank everybody for taking the time to log in and join our call. But I actually manage the PDMs across the United States under Brent Compass's team, all the VSPs. So all you lovely partners, your PDMs, I am their manager.
Fantastic, thank you.
You got
We
it.
also have Kat Daniels, the amazing Kat Daniels from Austin, is actually in here in studio in Irvine.
Thanks, Sherman.
Kat.
Yeah, I flew in from Austin for this event. I'm really excited to kick things off, and fantastic to everyone who's joined the call today. Thank you, Sherman.
You're welcome. And then, the amazing Jason Hinton.
The amazing Jason Hinton. Hi, Jason Hinton, Senior PDM in Chicago. I'm glad to be here because it's snowing in Chicago and it's not snowing here. But I'm excited today. Please ask your questions. I'll be monitoring the chat feed, and we'd love to have your participation today. So thanks.
All right. Well, you know, and Chicago, Austin, two folks from California. We've got PDMs and a PDM manager, a director here, actually, you know, to be able to answer your questions. So we can give you different perspectives from different parts of the country, which I think is exciting. If you notice that I'm excited, I am. Just in case you didn't think so, I totally am. It's like I'm ready to go. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into the leadership, our message from HQ. Beth?
Thank you. First of all, thank you again for joining, and just want to really take the time to talk about, you know, what the Managed Partner League and the Managed Hero League means to us. I would love for this to be a very collaborative session, not only on the team site and asking the questions in the Q&A to Jason, but also with each other, a partner-to-partner play. Start finding your partner friends out there on the Teams network with each other and reach out to them, collaborate, get a good feel for what they do or what other best practices that you can utilize from our partner community and all our PDMs. We have 28 people that report under Brent. So there's a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of people that have certain plays that they do very well and certain skill sets they do very well. Reach out to all of our PDMs, not just on my team, Howard's team as well, but Brent's team too. We have so much knowledge to share with you guys. So just thank you for that. And I really look forward to seeing and watching the collaboration. And then also just thank you for being in One Commercial Partner. It is a really, really unique and fun place to be. We've had a lot of changes and we've tried to amp it up and tweak it the way that we feel is actually skyrocketing now. But thank you for your support, for your partnership. And again, I just really would love to see some great collaboration through Teams and across our PDM community.
Wow, hey, thank you so much, Beth.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it. That was a great message. And let's go ahead and kind of, before we transition actually into the Microsoft Incentives Pi program, just a quick note, if anyone's still hearing crackling or any sort of feedback, please post it in the Q&A, just want to make sure. And once again, you know, we try to make this, you know, a high impact, dynamic program. It's not going to be death by PowerPoint. I'm just dead set against it. I think there's a total of like 12 slides for the whole hour, and really most of them are pictures. So, and if you haven't been to this before, you know, we're going to be rolling videos today. We're going to be doing other things, and collaboration and being part of it is really, really the important piece of it. All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into the Microsoft Incentives Pi program. And I'm going to go ahead and just talk a little bit about that. So why don't we go ahead and actually roll. We have a little tutorial on how to actually submit an Azure Everywhere Partner Investment Engine submission. Thank you very much. Roll one.
All right, this is Sherman Crancer, Senior Partner Development Manager for Microsoft, and today we're talking about the Partner Investment Engine portal, and we're going to be running through working on one of the Azure Everywhere submissions. So first things first, we go ahead and sign in here, and then you put in I'm a partner. What I'm going to do is actually put in I'm a Microsoft employee. And this is going to be your the portal that you're coming to. So there's two things to note here: apply for funding or check claims. When you go to check claims, they're actually going to be down here. So we're going to go ahead and apply for funding. All right, here, and when this comes up, you'll have three options. You want to click on the Pi program funding. And then when this next screen comes up, this is going to tell you over here in the right-hand side what offers are available to you depending on competencies. So if you have the data platform competency, you can go ahead and get these Azure deployment offers here. So we're going to go ahead and click on FY19 Azure Everywhere. Very simple. And these are the details about the FY19 Azure Everywhere program. This is the payout, the amount of days of work, and this is dependent on the amount of consumption that's possible there. Secondly, you have over here the supporting resources. I would suggest that you go ahead and always click on the very top one. It's a PowerPoint that has all the terms and conditions. And then lastly, the MS invoice instructions so that you know exactly what you need to do to submit for the right funding. Then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so in this thing, we're probably going to add a new customer because it's SMB related. So we'll go ahead and put in add new customer, customer contact name, SMB test. Okay, the new name is, I'll put in here, Sherman Crancer. And I don't have a TP ID, don't worry about that. All right, so let's go ahead and do the phone number. Customer contact, okay, title, and then email address, we go test@test12.com. This is where we're gonna ask for the activity and click assessment. Funding date, now this is really important, 15 days ahead of time. 15 days ahead of time. Make sure you give them 15 days ahead of time so they have a chance to actually approve it. And that's our internal folks. That's what you have to do. Who's your Microsoft contact? If you're not listed, if your PDM's not listed, you just push unknown. Investment amount, we're going to do $1.5 thousand for 1 day of work. Okay. Oops. Azure solution, application portfolio, Azure priority solution. Let's just talk about business continuity. Technical use cases. We can use that one, Azure Site Recovery. And statement of work authorized signature. Okay, and then we're going to put in there, and this is going to be the person that's actually doing the signing the actual statement of work. Okay, after we put in the statement of work, authorized signer, we have the first question. It's going to ask you how much. Okay, next question, what licensing type? And you're going to talk CSP, so that's the only way we're going these days. Okay, next question is, when will the estimated Azure consumption begin? And we'll say the 7th. Perfect, complete. All right, now we've completed that. Next, description of services, Azure assessment for lift and shift. Okay, and then we put industry. Let's just say it's financial services, associated campaigns. Typically there's none there. And check if it's public sector. And this is when the actual date that we're going to be submitting for. And I've certified, and then you go next. Oh, and customer address is necessary. So that's, we made a problem. 1, 2, 3, ABC Way. And then you put San Jose, California, 92614. Good. Okay, next. Perfect. Now, in the next screen, you should see this Microsoft draft statement of work. So this is really good. Just go ahead and print this up, and this is what you can actually use to give to your client. So I confirm the information is answer, okay, and then submit. All right, so after you hit submit, this is what happens. Request submission successful. All right, now you can download the statement of work draft to PDF, and this is what you need to get signed. All right, thanks so much for checking this out, and hope to see many submissions here in the future. Bye-bye.
All right, welcome back. So, you know, that was a tutorial, kind of walking you through, just in case you hadn't do it. But, you know, the Microsoft Partner Investment Engine program, and to kind of give a bit of an overview to it, really is a program where we're investing our resources, to help build your pipeline and increase your overall revenue, net customer adds. Right. So we do have several programs through Modern Workplace and Apps and Infrastructure, which is Azure, and we're going to cover those here in a minute. But I want to kind of give an overarching kind of overview of it. As a managed partner, I think what we're looking to do is have each one of you submit at minimum 12 of these per year. Because that shows us that there's investment in not only engaged with Microsoft, but Microsoft's also invested with you. And if you're working with your PDM, you should just talk to them a little bit more about it and figure out, what do I do? How do I make sure that I can make this the most impactful thing? The other thing too is just kind of notice there's a couple of gotchas through these things, and we're going to talk about it here in a second. But the main gotcha that has caused a lot of consternation is time of submission and proof of execution. So the rule of thumb is or let's understand it first. The reason why we say put it 15 days out, it's always 15 days out, is because you need to allow the Microsoft internal teams to approve it. Not only approve it, but they have to then provide it and get it into your portal so then you can actually get the funds. It takes some time. They're trying to do it. It's 15 days, right? That's what the minimum time we give them. But do they do it a lot earlier? Well, yeah, heck yes. Especially if you're doing it over and over again, and you're practicing and you're learning how to get through it without any errors. Yes. What happens is a lot of errors come up and it becomes frustrating, but it doesn't have to be. So I'm going to just throw it out to the team here, and I'm going to we'll ask Kat first. So Kat, can you give us your perspective on the PIPE program and maybe how some of the things that your partners are feeling about it?
Yeah, absolutely, Sherman. So what I think is interesting about the PIPE program is that it complements what you're already doing. You should be doing proof of concepts with your customers. You should be having one-to-many events. You should be running cloud assessments. And if you're doing those activities, why not have Microsoft reimburse you a few dollars for your efforts, right, to help drive that Azure number or that Microsoft 365 number. So I see it as a complementary sales motion, and that's really the biggest challenge that I see potentially partners running into is how do we integrate that into what we're already doing? And the partners who are able to successfully do that, those are the partners who are able to access those funds, because that's the best part. There's no limit. As long as you meet the ROI requirements for whatever the program is, you can submit it for 10 customers, you can submit it for 100 customers. I mean, it's really, the sky's the limit as far as the program goes.
Beth, what do you think? From the leadership perspective, how does leadership look at Partner Investment Engine? And how do they, is it an important program?
Extremely important, thank you. The leadership perspective is we are investing in you as a partner. And we offer up these funds so that you can go to market faster with your end users, service your end users. The route to market is a lot quicker. The other thing that I think we look at it on the leadership perspective is the difference in the pipeline. You get an absolute accelerated pipeline by using the PI investment funds, and it grows exponentially. And we have a litany of Power BI dashboards that prove this fact out. But I really, really encourage all partners to utilize all the funding that we have available to you. Not only is it our investment back into you as a partner, but also you are investing in your customer too. So you're showing that dedication and the collaboration between Microsoft and partner as one to service your end users. So that's our perspective. You're going to grow your pipeline faster, and why would you not use the money that we're offering?
Awesome, and thank you very much for that thought. Now, Jason, you have partners in Chicago, right? I mean,
I do.
I hope so, right?
I do.
No,
and they like money.
And they like money. Yeah. So, I mean, and you have some partners that are really utilizing this.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe give us the perspective of why they're so successful, and maybe what are some of the struggles with some of your other partners?
Yeah. No. So I would say one of the things I was thinking about is as we were talking about this. And I get requests on a regular basis of, hey, can you fund this? Hey, can you fund this event? And so what's interesting is we have programs like this that do fund these events, right? So I'm trying to encourage all my partners in Chicago to go back to look at some of these programs we already have in place. But I would say, I was telling some partners recently, I want to say it's like almost $300,000 in funds have been used by my partners so far this year. And then that's only a small group of the 25. Right? So I'm going back and talking to people and saying, okay, I get requests for money. How are we going to utilize these dollars? I mean, for them, they're looking at it to build larger workloads and primarily either get customers into Azure or get that Azure to accelerate, more quickly, right? But these workshops, and sort of to Kat's point, if you should be doing and you are doing these things, let us help you fund them, right? And so use these vehicles that are in place. However, there's an ROI with it, right? You have to generate the revenue. We have to show the revenue generation, and that's why we're investing in it. So I mean, that's really what we're seeing there. Is just trying to get those new workloads, new customers, and that dark to cloud engaged.
What are some of the consternation points? I mean, what are the points that are constantly being brought up that we might be able to help give some clarity to?
So I would say the partners who are most successful have either worked with or for Microsoft in the past and have someone who understands the system, even though it's sometimes complicated. But a lot of it's ID and access, right? And so talk to your PDM. Do you have your supplier ID set up? Is everything active the way it should be? Are you SSPA compliant? Make sure all of those housekeeping items are in place, and then go ahead and submit for something. Submit for Pace, submit for Azure Everywhere, get started, get comfortable with the process, and then have someone own it, right? What happens, I think, sometimes is nobody's really owning it, so somebody's sales, somebody's marketing, but then there's got to be operationally somebody to put it in. And you want to have that consistent person that knows the systems, how to get it in. So, yeah.
Kat, what are some of the points that are issues? What are the issues that are
I
coming?
mean, I think the biggest one that comes up is the idea of submitting and getting approval before it starts. So you're working with a customer, you have a great meeting, and they want to look at potentially moving a workload into Azure. That's the inflection point where you need to submit to the PI program and start that process, because it will take 4 to 5 business days, generally speaking, to get something approved. And the faster that you can get that, in front of the team to take a look at and get it approved, the faster you can begin the work. That's usually the biggest holdup, is that, partners wait to submit until the customer's really committed to that project, and then it's a rush to the finish line. So really, it's just making sure you're engaging with that team early and often. That usually helps more than anything.
Okay. So let's talk about identity a little bit. I think one of the things that I run into with my partners is we want to get access, but man, it is so difficult when I get to the partner investment engine and it's to sign up as I'm a partner. And I think one of the first things that comes up is they're like, yeah, okay, well, I'm signing in to sign in, and it says my email doesn't exist. And you're like, wait a minute, I've had this email for 10 years. I'm with Microsoft for 10 years. What do you mean it doesn't exist? Where's the ghost in the machine here, right? So evidently, and we found this out, and I just want to kind of put this out there for everybody. The fix of that is do not put your work email address in there. They're actually asking you to sign in with your Windows Live ID, your personal Windows Live ID. It seems absolutely counterintuitive, right? Because you're in a Microsoft portal and you're thinking, I'm using my Microsoft. No, first one is actually, you go in there, you sign up, you log in with your Windows Live ID if you don't have access, and then it'll get you're actually signed in to the partner investment portal. It's not to where the engine is where you get your funding. And at that point, then you put in what? Your work email address right in there, and you update. And then after it's updated, boom, you sign in as a partner, you put in your email address, and now you're into the program. It's amazing. That little step in understanding has taken about, and this is kind of how things go. I mean, it's taken us about 6 to 8 months to really figure that out. I mean, with keep hammering on the Pi support team and saying, hey, give me a walkthrough. This is ridiculous. We're not figuring it out. So I would say that's a point of contention. Do you guys feel the same thing?
Yeah, and I would agree with that the Windows Live ID is a big hang up for partners. And so just so you understand, if you don't have a Live ID today, that's something you can go and sign up for. Just drop it into Bing, Windows Live ID, and there's a process to sign up for one. Or if you're an Xbox aficionado, it's whatever your gamertag email address is. So if you have an Xbox Live account, that's your Windows Live ID, and then use that to log into the portal, and that takes care of the majority of login issues that we see.
So gamers get money. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I like that.
We're always a step ahead.
I always like to hear what people's name is on the gamer, but we'll keep that under wraps.
I'll put that in the Teams channel later.
All right.
My gamer tag is.
Maybe we should find a prize or something, like a $20 gift card to Starbucks for somebody who can guess Kat's gamer ID. And she's a real gamer. So that's the only hint. She's actually really serious about it. Yeah, so I think, that's the issue. Now, can more than one person sign up to be in the portal? So, I mean, I think there's a lot of questions about, the CEO can only sign up. and we want to give them global admin access rights, but I don't want to give the salesperson global admin access rights. But I guess what were your Jason?
One of the questions actually that just came in, as we're testing out getting to the threads, I'm now in the Q&A section. So I want to ask one question of you, Sherman, since you're our resident expert on this. So I recently entered, this is from Joel, I recently entered 2 Pi submissions for the exact sales amount. I'm hopeful, since it's our first, that we get some feedback if we did something incorrectly. So what is sort of the feedback mechanism as you're submitting this and you're going for proof of execution in your SOW, and what should people do if they feel like they should get feedback and they haven't gotten it?
Perfect. That's a great question, Jason. That is really fantastic. Thanks, Joel, for asking that. Well, you'll get an email, and so will your PDM. It's been rejected. And then basically you're going to have to then work with Pi support, which is PIESUPP at Microsoft.com. And you'll work with them to help you get through what you did wrong on there. But what Kat said too is you got to make sure you submit it 15 days, but also don't submit your proof of execution after or before, certainly not before. Because what does happen, and what people don't know, is that there's literally 3 strikes and you're out. And you're literally out of the whole program forever. And so you gotta be really careful. And for us as PDMs, that goes into our own personal file. So please, don't do anything that's gonna cause a problem, okay? We appreciate it. We'll help you, okay? You let us know if there's consternation.
That's right.
Great, any other questions that we have in there?
Yeah, so one of the things, and I think the login issue is, we're feeling some of this pain too. Like, wouldn't we use the same login for all of our partner stuff? And isn't that sort of the ideal thing eventually that we're trying to get to in this migration to Partner Center, that they're trying to reduce and try to make easier? So, I mean, is it fair to say we're working in that direction? Brendan asked about that. I mean, we're working in that direction, but we don't know how quickly we'll get there.
So yeah, I think, and that's why we're going to partner.microsoft.com, right? We're not sending everybody to the MPN anymore. It's like, okay, we're having a centralized place, and we're trying to figure this out. The issue that we have here, and the issue of federation, that's the issue. So if you have multiple accounts, and I'm going to give this credit to Justin last night, because he explained it very, very clearly. If you have info at ABCIT, if you have John at ABCIT, John Smith at ABCIT, or you have a separate Office 365 account that's personal, right? Or you have one that you're using for a nonprofit, that you're kind of on the profit board, right? You're the admin. Well, now you could be logged into a myriad of different, directories, really, different tenants. And then you try to go into this portal, and then you're like, wait a minute, why can't I get in? Well, the problem is you're actually logged in with a bunch of other tenants. Okay, so what you have to do is or a fix for that, right? If you have multiple email addresses or multiple tenants, is to very clearly just open up an in-private browsing. Okay, now we got it. Now it's just by yourself, and it's whatever you use, and now you can go through. But we are trying to do that, and it's really, it's a good idea too as a partner to go to your go to MPN Solve, and ask them to help consolidate. If you have multiple emails that you're using within an organization that you're in, because it causes too many problems with that. So,
cool.
Yeah, cool. All right, fantastic. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into Azure incentives and specifically Azure Everywhere. So let's go ahead and click on that one, and then we'll pull this one up full screen for everybody to see. So, really what it is, it's to help you build your pipeline. And what we're looking to do is to drive Azure Net customer ads and also SQL, right? So it's a little bit of both. And the partner eligibility, if you're US Gold or Silver Cloud Platform or Data Platform competency partners can participate in this program. And what's really important here is if you do not have this particular platform, right, competency, you're not going to see these offers in your Pi portal. However, there is a workaround. We have some great people in the Azure BG that will help us. All you have to do is say, hey, it's not showing up in my portal. Can you please help me get access? Your PDM will then send a great email to the great Katie Rickman, and we'll ask her, hey, Katie, can you get them approved for X, Y, and Z? For ADO, Azure Everywhere, and Azure Deployment Offer. And literally in about 24 hours, we see instantaneous approvals. For modern workplace, Azure or incentive offers, no exceptions. But we're going to talk about the awesome one. All right, so let's pull this one back up full screen. So the activities supported here are assessments, proof of concepts, pilots, architectural designs, Hackfest, hands-on training, right? And there's really 3 programs that are available to you. But the first one we're going to be talking about, actually, let me back up for a second. The eligible customers on here. I don't like reading these things straight down, but we'll kind of follow the thing here. Eligible customers, all U.S. non-managed customers, right, or unmanaged customers. So it doesn't have to be on the major account list. Very important here, and really it's SMB inclusive, not just inclusive, or yeah, I guess it is inclusive, but it's really good. So now the payouts. This is the way to look at it. Okay, you're going to get $1,500 if you do an Azure assessment, and the equation is it's a $1,000 a month potential Azure spend. And I say potential because we're not actually asking you to close this to get this money. We're actually wanting to look at the workload, want to keep it as close as possible to that, so that we make sure we have no issues with that. But we'll give you $1,500. Now, if you have a $2,000 a month opportunity and you're with with a client 15 days out, say I want to do an assessment, a lift and shift assessment or Azure Health Check, great. Put it in, we'll give you $3,000 to have the conversation. And the conversation is, let's take a look at what you're doing. Do you know what Azure is? Let's do an overview of what Azure is, right? And so on and so on. So there's days of work that are in there, and the days of work really apply, frankly, to the 7.5 thousand and the 15,000. Because it's multiple days of work. There's other things that we have to do to get those. And the proof of execution requirements are actually located in the Azure Everywhere portal. When you're in there, there's going to be a document, and there's a proof of execution you can download at the very end, and you have to follow those very carefully, very clearly. So just want to kind of go over that. The activities supported here. What is an assessment? I think we all know what an assessment is. We're going in there and we're going to assess. Right?
Right.
Right. Was that a trick question?
Yeah, it was kind of
I
like
didn't know he was asking us or not.
yeah, I don't know. Proof of concept, right? What is that? It's proof of concept.
It is.
I mean, we're not making this complicated.
No.
No, we're trying to do it. Architectural design, Hackfest, hands-on training. And then we're going to just really quickly look at the POE requirements. Very important here, including a copy of the POE template with a physical customer signature and meet one of the following conditions. Be printed on customer or company letterhead. Okay? Include an email from the customer's domain with Microsoft copied with the customer's full name and email address in the footer. Okay? These first two can start to be a little complicated, right? So you're saying, hey, I need to get this money for what I like is the DocuSign. Include a copy of the POE template, upload it into your own DocuSign tenant, and have the customer sign it. Digital record, complete the audit details that we have. So they must include the below details, as you can see here very clearly, and there's also an example in the chart. Everyone who's attending today, we're going to have these actual slides for you to follow through very carefully. We don't want to take too much of the time here to do it. And lastly, there are some reminders that are here. All proof of execution submitted for this program must either include a copy of the POE. All POE submitted for this program must include the following elements. And lastly, all proof of execution for the program must be submitted accordingly. Work must be completed within 60 days of your specified activity start date. So with that being said, are there any questions that are coming in through the chat?
Not right now. I mean, one of the questions it was more related to if you have multiple Azure. So Brendan, thank you for sharing this question. What if the solution involves multiple Azure processes? Is there a way to submit them all under one PI request, right? So, I mean, I would say if it's all part of one solution or it's all part of one engagement, you're not going to have a need to submit multiple requests. But Kat, you brought up something interesting earlier, and I just want to highlight this because sometimes I feel like partners go, I don't have time to do this. I mean, that's too complicated. It's too hard to submit it. But shouldn't they be doing this anyway? Isn't this, if they're intentional, about growing more and selling more in the cloud and selling Azure, shouldn't this be part of what they're doing and we're just trying to help them get paid for it?
Well, and the best part is, I think as part of the proof execution, your customers are notified that you're going to be receiving funds to do work on their behalf, so use it as a door opener. That customer that wasn't willing to look at moving that on-prem workload, or they're really not interested in cloud, well, hey, we're going to apply to Microsoft for some funds, and we may be able to get $3,000, $7,000, whatever it is, to help you move down the path. I mean, no one's going to turn down an offer for someone to run a free assessment for them. And that just makes, one of the things that's great about being a Microsoft supplier, and you can go to the Microsoft website and look up their requirements, but we have some pretty stringent requirements. So for you to be able to tell your customers, I'm a Microsoft supplier, I can apply for these funds, and that's a feather in your cap, and it's a credit to what your business does and how you conduct yourself in sort of an ethical fashion. So, I mean, that's something I would bring up on every sales call, is not only that the funds are available, but that you meet the requirements of the program because of the business that your company does with Microsoft.
Great, thank you very much. That's great feedback. So actually, we're so lucky. We have the great Katie Rickman actually is in our studio, which is amazing. And we're going to bring her in right after we roll a partner testimonial. And this partner testimonial comes from a security swarm bootcamp that we recently put together and that we're rolling out US-wide. And I just want you to take a special look at it because it's a completely different format, and I think some of the things that they're talking about is actually pretty amazing. And look out for those invitations to those boot camps that are coming out. So with that being said, let's go ahead and roll one of those. I think maybe Eddie Bader. Hey, this is Sherman Crancer, Senior Partner Development Manager for Microsoft. In the studio, we've got a great partner, Eddie Bader, CEO of Company Built. So Eddie, I got a quick question for you. You attended the Microsoft Security Bootcamp and just wanted to get your candid thoughts on what you thought of the event.
Well, it's really actually mind-numbing because we're learning so much in such a short amount of time. And you deal with these products all the time, like Microsoft 365, E5, and Azure Information Protection, and you think you know it, and then you come to this boot camp and you realize, oh, there's so many things that I'm not utilizing, not only internally, but for our clients as well. One of the things I really learned from these sessions is the fact that the way we package things right now in terms of offering products to our clients is a certain kind of model, and I've learned a lot of how to repackage and rethink those offerings to clients, and even taking something as simple as securescore.com and creating an offering based around that and helping people turn on the most important features of Office 365 and the security settings in EMS. So that's been really helpful, and obviously Matt and Kevin have a great amount of knowledge, and all their information is just, it's a lot. Sometimes I go home at night and I'm still thinking about it, but it's really given me new ways to think about the business.
Let me extrapolate on that question, Eddie. The difference between this type of boot camp and the other Microsoft presentations that you come in, via like low PowerPoint, high PowerPoint. Give us your thoughts on that.
Well, this is definitely low PowerPoint. This is very hands-on, a lot of questions. It's extremely conversational, so they're asking the partners, what are you doing? How are you doing it? Let us show you a different way to think about it. Let us show you how we look at this and what we think the opportunity is here. And it's not necessarily a huge sales pitch, but they also provide that sales opportunity within actually turning features on in the tenant. Specifically for Office 365, and I just think their perspective is so helpful. And the fact that both Matt and Kevin have written blogs, detailed blogs on how to do all these processes, at the end of the boot camp, they just send us all the links, and we go there and we identify what we want to do and put a package together or a process together for our internal teams and for our clients. And all we have to do is read what they've already done, and whenever we run into an issue, we just reach out to them, and they've been so open with us, and they say, hey, if you have a problem, you want us to take a look at something, reach out to us via email, give us a call, we'd be happy to help you and help you configure these things for your clients, and it's invaluable.
Great. Now, the last question we have for you, and thanks for that,
sure.
Is what are your thoughts on the ladder method that we rolled out today, the catalog offer and then turning GTM resources on and then getting you to market quicker. How is that? What are your thoughts on that?
So first of all, that was just a huge surprise, kind of like a Christmas gift in November, which was awesome because a lot of times we get really involved in our business and we forget to work on our business. And the GTM offer that was presented today is just, hey, look, we're gonna just kickstart your offerings in the OCP catalog, and you just have to fill out a few boxes and let us know what you want to do, what you want to focus on. You turn it over to the team, and they're going to help get that ready to go, and then you're off to the races. And I think sometimes I don't think I'm the only one, but I know sometimes I know I have to do it, and I don't always get to it. There's something else that always finds its way in front of that, but this particular offer was great. I mean, by the time I leave today, I'm going to have an offer ready to go, and just huge thanks to the team for helping us out with that. It's great.
Great. Hey, Eddie, thanks so much for coming in. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
All right, fantastic. So, we have the slide up here, but let's go ahead and introduce the great Katie Rickman. Katie, could you just introduce yourself and what you do? But we're lucky to have her today.
So, hi everyone, and thanks so much for letting me join. My name is Katie Rickman, and I'm on the U.S. Intelligent Cloud Marketing and Operations team, and I am the investments lead, so I kind of lead our investment strategy for the U.S. Sometimes people just call me the bank, but I help to run a lot of our programs that dip into some of our end customer investment funds and our free Azure offers, so on and so forth, and a lot of those go through our Pi programs for our partners to be able to use. So yeah, happy to talk about those more today.
All right. Yeah, so I like that. I like that she's just called the bank now. Katie the Bank Rickman. The bank.
That's awesome. I mean, one thing too, Katie, that you didn't mention, and I think that's helpful, is to know your background in SMB, because I think one of the things our partners feel a lot when they go to Inspire is it's all about the big guys. And so you're a real advocate for trying to help us figure out how we can leverage more funding programs for SMB partners or in that smaller, the smaller tier space. So, I mean, is there anything that you would recommend? Because we got a question that what's a strike and how do I make sure I don't get 3 strikes and be out? But do you have any sort of best practices or lessons learned that you would give to these SMB partners, these VSB partners that are, struggling a little bit but trying to get into it, want to leverage the money, want to leverage the funds? Anything you've heard from across, since you span the gamut, right?
Yes, so I do cover all segments. I do have an SMB background. So for me, being the SMB segment lead previously, I am definitely an SMB advocate in that moving to the programs as we launch them this fiscal year, I wanted to make sure that all of them were available to our SMB customers, our SMB partners that serve those customers. So that's why we expanded the program so that things like the Azure deployment offer, as well as Azure Everywhere, with all of the funding tiers that are available, can now support SMB customers. So that was a big focus for me coming into this role and into this fiscal year. I would say some of the gotchas that we find with partners kind of talking to your strike 1, strike 2 kind of thing is we want to make sure that when you're submitting for these programs in the Partner Investment Engine or Pi portal, that you're not starting the work until you get the PO in hand, because until you have a PO, you don't have the funds committed to you, you don't have the approval to start the work. And sometimes what we see is partners get tripped up in that process a bit, not realizing that because they submitted it and because they received some kind of information from the Pi portal back to them, that maybe they weren't fully approved and they go ahead and start the work, and then it's not something that we can support with the funding anymore because we didn't follow the requirements of waiting until the PO was provided. So that is something that we see some of the partners get caught up in there. I think another thing on the POE side, or the proof of execution, is just making sure that you have the right documentation signed by the customer, whether it be through DocuSign or just on paper, and sent and approved, processed properly with the Pi team. And the Pi team is more than happy to help answer any questions that you might have, maybe prior to sending the proof of execution to the customer to be signed, in case you have any questions before going to the customer, so you don't have to go back to them for additional signatures if something wasn't properly signed there. So those are a couple things that come to mind right off the bat, that sometimes partners that are newer to the programs, or even just sometimes veteran partners, making sure that you're keeping up to date with any changes that are going on with the program, so you don't get caught in new gotchas, because there are some changes that happen sometimes at the quarter, sometimes at the half, and we're coming up to our fiscal year half at the end of this calendar year. So make sure that you're paying attention to any of the changes that are coming to the programs, whether it be on the weekly partner calls, checking the PI site itself for the program deck updates, the partner Yammer page. There's bunches of different places where you can go to get those updates, but definitely make sure that you stay up to date, so that you have the most recent information when you're taking these offers to your customers.
Hey, Katie, one thing that you mentioned, and I think this is a really good point to be made, is we had some fire drills last June with some partners who are very well intentioned of saying, hey, I'm going to pay for this. I'll fund this whether I get the Microsoft money or not. So they just went ahead and did the work. And then they go, but wait, I'm not getting funded. I'm like, yeah, you have to actually wait for the work. So that is, even if you're trying to do it and say, I would do this anyway, you still want to wait until you get it approved. But the second thing is, and this comes from, so my background as I was a partner seller before I was with Microsoft, is don't promise the funds, because to Katie's point, what if the funding runs out? You don't want them to not do the activity. Why don't you just sell it as, hey, if I can get some Microsoft funds to support this, I'm absolutely going to do everything I can to get you extra funding, right? But just go do it, right? Because what if something changes? You don't want to stop a workshop or an assessment or a proof of concept because something happened in the PI process that you couldn't anticipate. So please just say it's well-intentioned, I'll try to get you funds, or just say, we'll wait until we see what happens, right? Just have to build that time in there.
So I'll counter that a little bit, but I more want clarity on this. I'm coaching the partners that I'm working with that this is something for you. This is to help you build the funnel, not necessarily for you. And I caution them. I said, don't talk about this piece of it with your customers that you're getting this X amount of dollars for this thing. But it's more of an assessment. There's proof of execution to it, and maybe we could use some dollars for it later. I don't know. Do all your partners do it that way?
We've done both. So
Okay.
I've coached them on, if you don't have to say anything, you don't necessarily need to say Microsoft's giving me any money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for some, customers are looking for some money,
Yeah.
and the partners don't want to say I'm giving you money or do it free, so they're creating some value. So what I've said is, tell them what you think the effort would cost. Like if you think it's going to cost $10,000 to do the workshop, and I'll see if I can get some funding to offset it, see what the customer says for $10,000. Because sometimes if they're not willing to pay anything, put any skin in the game for it, then you can't. But they'll feel like if I'm paying for something, what are you giving back, right? It's sort of the I give some, you give some, and that's the thing. But I totally agree, Sherman. You can go either way with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Kat?
Well, I'd say one of the recent changes to the program is that when you submit something to PI, that statement of work that you guys saw in the walkthrough earlier does get sent to the contact in the PI portal. So you do want to give the customer a heads up that you are applying for the funding. But yeah, I would absolutely use it as a door opener. I would use it as a way to sort of move reluctant customers along and get them sort of bought into the idea that this is something that they can afford, especially SMB customers. And now is the perfect time of year for it because they have to use their funds before the end of the year, right? They're getting ready to put together their budgets for calendar year 19. So if there's anything that's left in the kitty at this point, I mean, use that to fund an assessment for this year. And that's something that you could easily kick off in the next 30 days or so.
Awesome. So Katie, excuse me, the bank. This is a question for the bank.
Katie the bank.
Katie, the bank. Recommend.
We're going to get those business cards printed.
There's 3 programs. There's Azure Pace, there's Azure Everywhere, and Azure Deployment Offer. Now, some people have asked us, can you stack those? So Pace is $1,500. Do you want to just quickly go over those 3?
Yep, definitely.
Just quickly, yeah. Okay.
So PACE is the Partner-Led Azure Customer Experiences, PACE, and that's our marketing-funded program. So that's $1,500, plus we also have bill of materials or BOM that's available to run those events, event templates, customer PowerPoint decks, things like that. But $1,500 per event for in-person one-to-many events. And as a great kind of follow-on or call to action to those events is Azure Everywhere or Azure Deployment Offer. So So with Azure Everywhere, you can cover, assessments, proof of concepts, pilots, hack fests, where you're actually doing kind of a proof of concept and knowledge transfer for the customer during that hack fest type of scenario, as well as customer training, where it is all knowledge transfer, let's say. So those can all be covered under Azure Everywhere for up to $15,000 for one-on-one engagements. So that's kind of our pre-sales offer that we have that would be a good follow-up for the PACE event. Now on the post-sale side, if say the customer is ready to move straight to deployment migration types of activities, that's what we consider post-sales, and that's what falls into the Azure deployment offer bucket. So that also provides up to $15,000 in funds for specific activities, which would be deployment and migration activities. So either one of those buckets you can dip into after PACE, so those are stackable. Azure Everywhere and Azure Deployment Offer are stackable with PACE. But Azure Everywhere and Azure Deployment Offer are not stackable themselves. So you wouldn't be able to do, say, a customer training using Azure Everywhere funds plus a deployment for that same customer using Azure Deployment Offer funds. That's an either-or scenario. So just kind of keep that in mind. You can add PACE with Azure Everywhere or PACE with Azure Deployment Offer, but not Azure Deployment Offer and Azure Everywhere for your SMB customers.
Perfect. All right. For the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and transition into the Managed Hero League. And this is kind of the explanation. We've got Jason to be doing this. And then we're going to have metrics that matter. And then I think, do you mind if maybe we'll hang on an extra 5 or 10 minutes after our hour is done, just in case we have any questions?
That's great.
And then the rest of the people, you can leave. I know we want to be respectful for time.
Yeah.
But we want to get through this. So, all right. Why don't we go ahead and get into the Managed Hero League?
All right,
Sure. We gotta get a better one.
So what's what I guess you would call it a serendipitous accident, right? So Sherman came up with an idea about fantasy football. Then we transitioned into aren't we driving partner success? And it's like, well, we could do that. So what we've evolved into is you doing what you do already to grow your business, to accelerate your sales, and you don't have to do anything else. Have to, right? There's some optional tasks. It'd be great, but do your business, right? And we're talking about the plays in the box. So we have SMB plays in a box. I've started sharing it with partners. It's basically a PowerPoint that has all the links, it has all the content, it has events, it has marketing materials. Kat and I were just talking about the SMB marketing campaigns that are out there, which I'm going to start driving more with my partners. But it's everything in one place. And we will share a slide with you as part of the deck that shows what this is. But I have partners coming about technical enablement. I have partners coming in talking about sales enablement. My salespeople don't know how to sell to this, right? Incentives, all the things that we just talked about with PACE and Azure Everywhere, all that's part of the play in a box. And that play in a box could be security, it could be apps and infrastructure, it could be business applications. And so each call that we have in the subsequent months is going to highlight a different play in the box. Now, the other thing that's really cool about this is the optional part, is we're going to have content that we have subject matter experts in each play. We're going to have content that's available for you to go post on LinkedIn, to share on your blog site, share on your website, to advertise what you're doing with Microsoft and security, or advertise what you're doing in driving new customers to the cloud. So we're going to provide that for you, but all that's optional. Now, the one thing we say that is not optional, or we'd really like you to do when you opt into this, is be a part of this call, right? So once a month, be a part of the call, be a part of the community, and collaborate with us. So that's not mandatory, but we really want you to be here. If you can't, as a partner owner, which we get, have other people join, right? Have your sales and marketing leader join. Have your CIO join, who's a part of it, but help them get the experience and understand what's going on with the plays in the box. Now, the Managed Hero League, what's important is I have partners go, tell me what my ranking is. And I go, you're an SMB partner in the Microsoft global ecosystem. So it's probably 27,551, right? Or something like that, right? So what we've done is we've made the community smaller, and it's opting in. So again, you don't have to do anything except read the rules and opt in starting in January 2019. But then Kat's going to go over all of the metrics that we're using as part of sort of managing that leaderboard. And it is something we were talking about last night about sort of not bragging rights, but sort of how to measure yourself.
Yeah.
And be able to say, hey, we have this, and tell, people brag about their fantasy leagues all the time, right? I have this guy, I'm ranked this, here's how it's going. Why not tell somebody like, hey, we have this group within the Microsoft ecosystem that's 200, 300 partners, and you know what, we're number one. Yeah. And the kicker with all this is I get asked all the time, who can I meet with at Inspire? Well, if you are 1, 2, or 3, we're setting up executive meetings for you at Inspire this coming year, right? So we'll have that 6-month window, track the leaderboard, and you get your meetings at Inspire. As one person asked, because it was deceiving in my slides, there is no cash involved in this. My little dollar signs that were in the slides are just you guys are making money for your business, right? Not us. Now, the metrics, which are the key to it, and how we measure ourselves, are capped. So do you want to take it from there? Talking about the leaderboard?
Absolutely. If you want to hit the next slide.
Okay, it's coming up right now. If you can just go ahead and
Perfect.
pull that up. Perfect.
All right, so this is a preview, so don't get too caught up on the numbers of the ranks. But the first thing that you guys are going to notice is that it's ranked 1 to 5, or however that's going to be when we get all the partners participating in this program. And there's a very important reason for that. At Microsoft, we hold your privacy and confidentiality very seriously, so we won't actually be posting that your cloud growth for FY19 is 300% or 400%. That's your information. You always have the ability to get access to the metrics that are behind these rankings by talking to your PDM and going through that on your Rhythm of Business call. But all we're going to show you is how you rank against the other partners that have opted into this program. And really the breakdown is the overall leader, so how you lead across the 7 metrics, how your Azure growth is year to date, and that's a percentage. So it's really important to understand is whether you're a small partner or a big partner, it's how are you performing against what you did last year, not necessarily how much you're driving in just raw revenue numbers, right? So this is a game that anyone can participate in and be successful in. CSP mix is how much of your business in CSP is growing versus the business that's growing on-prem. So if you're making that transition to more of a cloud-based provider, that number should be going up. Same thing with the next metric, which is how many customers you've added in the 3 clouds. So Azure, Office 365, Dynamics 365, how many customers have you added into those 3 clouds? And that's a static number, so that's the one that's not a percentage. And then Pi, how many submissions have you made? So how many submissions have you added to the Pi portal? If you've added 10 submissions, 20 submissions, as many customers as you have that are eligible for the programs, submit for those, because we're going to be counting those submissions. The panel call leader is how often you attend these calls. We will be keeping attendance. And then partner revenue rank is your revenue year-to-date growth percentage. So how much is your business growing versus your business last year? The average US partner, I think for Brent's team last year, grew somewhere between 25 and 40%. So how much are you growing over what you did last year? Right? And then cloud mix, same thing. What percentage of your business is on-prem revenue versus cloud-based revenue, and what is that mix year-to-date growth? So if you're making that CSP transition, that cloud transition, that number should naturally be increasing over what you did last year. So really what we're trying to encourage partners to do is continue to make that transition to more of a cloud-based model, take advantage of the programs that Microsoft has available to you, and then tune in for this call. And really that's everything that goes into your ranking. So very similar to fantasy football, without really having to worry about how you're doing necessarily, week to week and having to swap out players. It's really about what do you have as a foundation of your business, and how are you utilizing the things that are available to you as a Microsoft partner and using that to grow what you already have.
Well, and Kat, what I think is great about the leaderboard too, is if you want to dive into the stats that are behind this leaderboard to figure out, because I think I have some partners, or I'm hoping, are going to be like, I am not going to be 25 next week or next month, right? So you can dive into the stats and say, well, what was that I can do better that's going to help drive more points and drive me up the leaderboard so I can say that I am going to be number 1.
Absolutely, and I mean that's one of the things that you should be covering in your Rhythm of Business calls. Every month or every other month when you meet with your PDM is, really how much is your business growing? Because I think as PDMs and as Microsoft, that's really the most important thing to us is how many customers are you adding to the mix and how are you growing your business? Because we want you to be successful, and if your business isn't growing, we really want to help you, and that's what some of these programs like Pi are invented to do, is to help you drive and accelerate that pipeline.
Hello?
Is that a timer for the fact that the show's on server?
Hello, how are you? Happens to be from Austin, Indiana. I don't know who's calling.
That's one of your close friends.
I thought you were calling me. But Indiana.
That'd be quite the trick, right?
I don't know. It's probably one of those robocalls. Vote for somebody, right?
So the Q&A has been a little bit quiet. So we've covered a lot. We've covered the MHL, which I've had a lot of partners ask questions about. I've had some people ask about the leaderboard and wanted to understand the CSP mix and the cloud mix. Katie, any other things you want to talk about? Because we're always asked for money. So, if you have any ideas, anything else that you want to just mention to the group? I mean, other than we are driving Pi through this, which I think is awesome, which is the mandate. But anything else you'd like to share before we close?
Let me think. I mean, there are some programs that are internally accessible that aren't available through Pi. So I would say if you have large customer opportunities and they're larger than what is available to the partner to access yourselves through Pi, then definitely make sure that you bring those to your PDMs, because that's a great opportunity for them to say, using their empowerment dollars, kind of some of our internal marketing dollars and internal end customer investment funds, or free Azure offers, things like that, to help you package up the right offer for your customer to help you land that. So outside of kind of the programmatic motions that you can do through Pi, that's a great opportunity to say, hey, I've got a whale on the hook here. What else can you do to help me to build the right offer and bring in the right technical resourcing, bring in the right investment dollars, so on and so forth, to help you close those larger deals that are bigger than what we could do through the programmatic engines like Pi.
Yeah.
ESIF. Does anyone here know what the acronym stands for?
I do.
Okay, please. I'm sure not just, and I'm never afraid to say that I don't know it. I mean, you get so many acronyms. Please help
And it
us out.
changes year to year.
Yeah, it totally does. So I'm
this
sure
is
there's
true.
people on the call that probably want to know what ESIF stands for.
Yes, so ESIF, ECIF, stands for End Customer Investment Funds, and those are funds that Microsoft pays to partners on behalf of customers to deliver, consulting services to customers. So that's really what ESIF is. You might have heard it, it used to be SIF, it used to be BIF. There's probably a handful of other, acronyms that it's gone under, but this fiscal year, it's ESIF, End Customer Investment Funds.
Great. All right, so we're going to go ahead and land the plane here. We're going to end the call. Say thank you very much for your attendance today. We really do appreciate it. It's automatically recorded. It's translated. It's encapsulated. It's got everything involved, and it'll be readily available to view in about 15 minutes. So thank you very much for coming. Really appreciate your time. And we're going to go ahead and stick around for a little bit, few more minutes, just in case we have some more questions. But thanks again, and have a great day. Bye-bye.